money's not an object. You could literally create whatever game you want. They're all like GTA based in London.
I was literally just about to say that. Every single thing in my school turned into, and then they had a fight.
Who's your favourite player on FIFA, quickly?
Team of the year icon, David Beckham.
No, I shouldn't have asked that question.
What's wrong with that?
Terrible.
Really? It's not the Sidemen's fault. It's not like Sidemen trolls, but that's where you get exposed to the largest audience.
Yeah. If you work hard, there's always a reason you're in a room.
How has it been for you being thrown into that environment? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BootRoom podcast presented by JD, hosted by myself today, Andy Castell, or AJ3 on YouTube. I am joined by former world champion FIFA player.
Woo woo.
That's me, Spencer Gorilla. My teammate Tom is not here, unfortunately.
We've got Tom with a better haircut today.
Yeah, you could argue that. Talk 30 seconds, AJ3, to people that maybe don't know who you are.
Okay, that is on the spot.
30 seconds.
This is a random thing where I really want to talk loads now. Where when somebody says, "What are you?" and you think, "Oh, am I a YouTuber? Am I an Everton fan? Am I a guy who's 30 years old? I don't really know." I somehow have accrued like 1.6 million subs, and people still watch them 12 years later, which is kind of mind blowing to me, but very good because it pays my mortgage. And now you can call me Tom Lees if you want to.
Tom Lees. Tom's not coming back on here. AJ is my new co-host. Probably famously known for the series on YouTube, Squad Builder Showdown, that I'm yet to be a part of.
I like my coins, unfortunately, Spencer, so I don't want to lose.
I could use a bronze team.
We are joined today for the podcast that is all about FIFA and football by ElztheWitch.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Quickly, before we get into episode 3, if you missed episode number 2, where the guest was It's Haber, make sure you go and check that out on the channel. It was a good one, wasn't it, Spencer?
Very good podcast. Make sure you go watch it.
We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We are joined by potentially the most multifaceted person.
It's a big word, though.
That is a big word that I have ever met in my life. I've had the pleasure to speak to Els. You do everything.
I do a bit of stuff, you know.
Just a bit of stuff.
Just a bit. Yeah, YouTube was what I started on anyway.
Yeah.
It's been about 4 and a bit years. Started doing gaming content, then progressed into football actually through FIFA, through doing I think it was the FIFA World Cup 2019 or 18, no, 2019, I guess. And just did a 1-minute segment on stage, my first ever presenting gig, which was live on Sky Sports at the O2. I was like, no pressure. And then just kind of started working in football from there, really. So it's been a journey. And then now doing radio, just a bit of everything now, to be honest.
How did you find that? Because, you know, when I've started competing back in 2015, I remember in front of camera, I was so nervous. And obviously, you know, this setup now. So how did you find that journey and obviously adapting in front of camera and even the audience in front of you?
I think doing YouTube kind of prepped me for it in a way, because you get comfortable in hearing your own voice, which is horrible at first. I don't know if you guys had the same thing. I hated the sound of my own voice. So you kind of get to terms with how to be on camera as a person. And when I was backstage at the O2, I was literally staring at a wall. No one could talk to me. I was just doing my lines, the 1 minute over and over again, and just envisioning my YouTube setup. So I remember I had the camera in the middle with my 2 monitors. And when I was rehearsing the lines, I just pretended that it was my little Canon, whatever camera. And that's how I got through it. And I found it went fine. And obviously it did do okay because I then got jobs off the back of it. But before I did YouTube, I used to work at IBM. So my degree was in computing. So I was doing their database programming. And I kind of just got confidence from doing that, because initially that was really out of my comfort zone. And I had to go into rooms with clients and present to like a boardroom and stuff. And for me, that's way more nerve-wracking than doing something that I enjoy and can just be myself. So that really prepared me for it.
If you had to go back now and present to a boardroom, what do you think's harder, presenting to thousands of people who become anonymous, or presenting to 6 people who are then going to talk back to you?
6 people who are judging everything in your spreadsheet or your PowerPoint presentation and going to ask you questions specifically on it. Whereas speaking to like an audience about myself or interviewing other people, is completely fine because it's just either your opinion or your story and something that you've done.
Yeah, I think for myself personally, I think one thing that I've found is just putting yourself in a situation. I feel like in times gone by, there'll be something that's planned in a month in advance. I'm just thinking, how do I, come across? But I think once you're on stage or once you're in front of the camera, whether it's YouTube, where it's in person, personally, I think just putting yourself in the deep end and then, you learn from it. And then over the years, you obviously get more comfortable in front of camera, which I assume you can.
Definitely. I always think that you should always try and say yes to things that scare you. Because obviously not everything.
Yeah, not everything.
Because you have to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. And for me, I just like the feeling of being nervous, not in a bad way, just like the adrenaline of it all. And as you said, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. So I'm someone that gets really bored as well easily. So I'm like, okay, what can I do next that scares me? And I try and just do everything like twice a year, do something big that is going to really push me outside of my comfort zone.
So for me, I'm if someone asks me what am I wouldn't say I'm a YouTuber first.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I'm a professional FIFA player. So if you had to categorize in kind of one word, what is it you would say?
I think initially it was, I play video games on YouTube. That's what I used to tell people. I'm a YouTuber, create content. But I think I would say about a year ago, I just made the decision to focus more on presenting because I just think it's more of a long-term career. I think with online stuff, the way it's going, it's definitely going to last a long time. But I think where I'm a bit older and just try and plan in the future as much as possible, that was just more of a long-term goal for me. But I still do YouTube and I still love it. And I think that it's so important to have an online platform because the way things are going, I think in 20 years' time, we'll have that over TV, I think. So, yeah.
So you say presenter now, but
I think I'm just more of a personality, I guess, that creates content and does presenting.
Okay, because you've got a new YouTube series coming out, haven't you?
I do.
Whoa, there's
Love
a plug.
That is a great plug. Yeah, so my baking series. So I used to do some baking videos a few years ago. They did really well. I can't bake at all. I'm just a very clumsy person. I try and be as organized as possible in life. That's me. I love organization. But in practice, I'm not. I'm just clumsy and I'll drop things and I get really overwhelmed by instructions. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a series. So I'll have different guests come on. The first episode was with Harry Pinero. So that was really good. We made sprinkle cake, which we all used to have at school,
Yeah,
the custard.
That was nice.
Something I'm very interested in, Els, is what made you go from working for IBM?
Mm-hmm.
Because you started doing YouTube and stuff quite late.
Yeah.
Not that we're old.
I in the YouTube world,
yeah,
I am quite old.
People call me the same age
sometimes.
as me, but I've been doing it twice as long.
Yeah.
So I started at like the normal age, whereas you started at actually like
Old.
5,
I was
6,
26
7,
when I started.
years afterwards. I started doing it. I was like 17.
Yeah. But I don't regret when I started it because the life experience I got from going to university, and I said database programming. It was actually for Adidas that I did database programming. At IBM, I was doing project management. So I did 4 years at uni and working for Adidas. And then I went and worked for IBM for 3 years. And I feel like if I'd have started YouTube when I was 17, 18, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it. I wasn't shy, but I think I just needed that life experience, and working in an office helped me create structure in my life. So I'm quite like a routine person. So every morning I wake up at 6:50 and I'll go to the gym and then I'll take my vitamins and then I'll just get on with my day. So I think working in an office and just having that structure really helped me when it came to like being self-employed and having to put that sort of pressure on myself.
I found that to be important. I think structure, I think in the past year, I think it's something I'm more conscious of bringing into my life, where it's with content or playing FIFA, but just my general life. I think a few years ago, I used to wake up at 12 o'clock, and I didn't really think anything otherwise, because the idea of waking up early is not the best thing. But I think you've mentioned it a few times. I think structure is the most important thing I've probably brought into my own life over the past few years. And I think it's something that's definitely helpful for me.
I definitely find it really interesting when I interview some of the professional esports players, because you get to, not but like from in general, you get kind of the people that just love the game and they don't really base their lifestyle around it. They're just really talented and really good at the game. And then you get the players that are starting to put into practice the importance of sleep and diet and just preparing for a tournament in that way. And I think it's so interesting to see like how the sport is developing and having all these coaches and training camps. And as you said, like before you liked sleeping in, but you didn't think anything of it. But now you're sort of learning that sort of structure and routine. I think it comes with experience and age as well.
Yeah, I think it just comes with, as you said, experience. I think when I was like 18, I started playing. I just wanted to play video games. I wanted to play FIFA, but the older you get, you have more responsibilities as well. You know, whether it's in your own personal life, and you know, for me, I've got to do content. You've got to do content as well. So I think for you, Andy, I think having structure is important. Otherwise, things can just pile up, and I think for me, that's just the worst thing possible. Having so many things to do, and you think there's not enough hours in the day.
Definitely.
I am so unorganized. It's
really?
Unbelievable.
I wouldn't think that.
I think of myself as really lazy, whereas I think actually I'm probably not when you compare it to like the general population or something like that. It's just from my own personal experience. I feel like, I could do more stuff. Whereas recently anyway, as I've become more experienced, I've become more organized, but I'll often do things because of pressure, because I have to.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? I've got to do this now because it needs to get done. And then I will pick things on like challenges and stuff that I want to do. And that adds extra pressure on top of it. And it does make me more organized, to make me do more stuff. But I don't know, I think of myself as like quite lazy, but I think it's because I compare myself to 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old Andy, where I used to upload 9 videos a week, record them, edit them, and make the thumbnails myself. And that was when I decided, right, I'm going to try and be a full-time YouTuber. So I went to uni, was meant to become a teacher, was meant to teach A-level psychology because that's what my degree is in, and had a job lined up. I was going to work 4 days a week at a local college, teaching A-level psychology, and on the Friday, go to university to do my PGCE to become a qualified teacher. And like 3 days before term started, random funny story, Matt H. Gamer's mum is the person who was going to employ me. Yeah. Anyway, a few days before that happens, she rang me up and basically said, too many kids have failed the GCSEs. We don't need another teacher for A-levels. Like, not enough kids have got into college. Like, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I decided to try and be a YouTuber. And that pressure that I put on myself was like, I have 1 year to make as much money as I would have done being a teacher from being a YouTuber. Otherwise, I have to go and get a proper job. I think that pressure made me be organized. And like, I remember going on holiday for 2 weeks once and having to make 9 videos for the 2 weeks before I went on holiday, plus the 2 weeks while I was on holiday. So then that was like 36 videos,
a lot of videos
in 2 weeks or something stupid like that. It was the worst 2 weeks of my life. So when I come back off holiday, I was like, right, never doing that again. And now I'm a lot more
smooth,
go with the flow sort of thing. But I think compared to most people, probably still quite hardworking. But I think of myself as...
I do think though that, well, if you compare yourself to 17, 18 or 19, you probably had less responsibility in your life than you do now. So I don't think you're as lazy. It's just maybe you can't be as productive because you have
energy focused elsewhere. Yeah,
exactly. But one thing I found with YouTubers or content creators online, it probably applies in other professions as well. But when I started, I was like that. I was like, I have to upload. Mine was 2 times a week. And if I don't, it's literally the end of the world. So I was like, I can't not miss an upload. And it's just that grind because you have to get to a state in your mind where you're like, okay, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve to make this a success. I gave myself a year as well because I obviously quit my job and I was like, right, I'm gonna give myself a year, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just go back to work. And that's why you put in that grind. But once you sort of get more into it and you learn what works and what doesn't, you don't have to upload as much, but you're still being as efficient because you know what works and what doesn't.
Can you remember the moment when you were like, not I've made it, because that sounds a bit arsey, but can you remember when you were like, okay, I don't need to go back to work? Was there like for me, there's like a single specific moment. Can you remember if you had one?
I don't think I have one. It was, I had a few different things happen. So I'd started my channel at the end of the year. So within sort of 3 or 4 months, I'd started doing collaborations. And because I already lived in London and I'd had friends just from networking and going out and stuff. Like I called in a few favors. So AJ3 came and played FIFA with me, which is one of my first times playing FIFA. And if you look back, it's actually awful because I have always been really vocal about, I didn't know too much about football or FIFA. So you can literally tell I don't really know what I'm doing at all. But that was a video that did really well. And then KSI, who was working with one of my managers at the time, we just called in a favor. I hadn't even met him in person. We had mutual friends, but he said yes. And this is why I always give the Sidemen and KSI so much credit, because they put on so many people's careers. So he came and just did a Sims video with me, and then that blew up and it got like 1 million views and stuff. And I was like, okay, something's happening now. Like, I feel like I've not made it, because at that point I still had so much work to do, but there's a few different things. And then I went to E3 with Xbox, which was 5 months into starting YouTube, which was insane. So that was one of the moments as well.
Nice.
We're on a podcast now, but you have your own podcast, I do believe. Citizens Game, is that what it's called?
Citizen Game,
Tell
yes.
us a little bit more about it.
So it is just a gaming podcast, really, where different guests come on and they'll just talk about their top games, their favorite games. And then also one thing that I love to do is design their ideal game. And it's so funny because I'm like, okay, so we're going to design your ideal game. You've got, money's not an object. You could literally create whatever game you want. Where do you want it to be based? And they were all like, I want to do like a GTA based in London.
I was literally just about to say that.
It's literally the same. So now I'm like, right, you can't do a GTA based in London. But yeah, the podcast is just super fun, super cheap. You don't even need to be a gamer, but I just find that everyone in life has played a game, whether it be Tetris on your phone or something like that, Candy Crush. Like, everyone loves talking about it. And I
Do the games
enjoy
have to be physically possible? Imagine this room just turned into like Wembley, and then there was hundreds of thousands of people watching, and you just started playing footy, and you could run, but you'd never reach the wall, even though it's only there.
I'd love. So what I think in the future with football games, for example, I think firstly VR, we need to get to a point where it's just glasses, like similar to the ones you're wearing, because sometimes it's like to put the whole thing on your face. It's
I've never had. Are they heavy? I can imagine the VR like headset is
once
really heavy.
they're on your head, they're actually fine because they have the big straps at the back. But it's quite suction like on your face.
I've never tried.
So have you done Beat Saber, right? So I did it for my YouTube once, and someone said to do, I can't remember the level, but it's something to do with crab, the name of the songs, and it's a really hard level. So I'm there sweating because it's you're like really physically moving, and I take it off and I have a whole like ring mark on my face because it's so tight, but also I've been sweating like
like ski goggles.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It's literally like ski goggles. So I want to get to a point where VR is like you put a pair of glasses on and it's so much easier to take it on and off. But with football games, I'd like to see them at least try and do VR football, where you're probably physically running, whether it be on the spot or around a room, and you've got like the crowd and you can hear like the noise and see the other players. So like you're playing. So if you're a professional VR esports player and you're playing on your team is like Ronaldo and all these like legends in the game, could be quite sick.
Yeah, could you imagine that 11v11 VR? You're literally one player on the team and you have 10 of your friends with a VR headset on playing with you. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm going to be really pessimistic. Is that not just playing football? Like, do you not want to do things that you can't?
But you're playing you're playing with football. Like,
oh, okay. Yeah, but I was, when he's saying...
I know what you're saying.
Would you not just hire a footy pitch and go for
you could just do that. That is something. Who's been your favourite guest, if you had to have picked one?
On Citizen Game?
Yes.
We've had really good guests, actually. Oh, FG.
Really? Don't tell FG that. Come on.
I'm not going to say he's my favourite, but he's so funny. Just honestly... we work together at Man City, so we do a lot of the match day live stuff and we get on really well. So he came down to London and came on the podcast, and I just think within sort of the FIFA and the football community, he's so funny, and I love how everyone kind of takes the mick out of him.
Can we cut this part out of this podcast, please, so FG can't listen to
it.
His head is big and bald enough. We don't need...
But other than that, GK Barry, Grace, she was so funny. She came on. She designed her own game, and I probably wouldn't be able to talk about half the stuff that she said it would be, but it was based in Cambridge, which is where she's from, and yeah, it was some weird stuff happening in her game, but she's a really interesting person.
What other stuff are you up to then? So you do your own podcast.
Yes.
You just said presenting for City with Faraz.
Yes.
Presenting for the Premier League
Uncut, which is it's with EA Sports, so EA Sports FC, I guess now.
Nice.
And what else do I do? Wow.
Match of the Day X.
So that is on BBC Three. I have my own radio show on Kiss Fresh, which is every Saturday. And just do a load of stuff. Event hosting. I've started doing red carpet hosting lately.
How's that been going?
So my first one was Ant-Man, which is no pressure. So I was interviewing Paul Rudd on the red carpet, all this cast, and Michael Douglas was in the movie, and he or his wife, who's Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I was there like, oh my God, I used to watch all these people growing up. So I've done Ant-Man, then we did the second Shazam movie, which was amazing. That was Leicester Square. And then the most recent one I've done is Dungeons and Dragons, and they rented out the entire Leicester Square and like made these different stages and made their own garden, and there was fire and everything, and it was really cool.
And the Sidemen match as well, which
I was going to mention that
probably
earlier.
the most viewed one of all of them things.
When you asked me earlier, is it more nerve-wracking presenting to a room full of 6 people or thousands of people? The thing that came to my mind was the Sidemen charity match, because myself and Munya were hosting it and obviously throwing to Stephen in the commentary box and stuff. But we didn't know. But at one point, there was 2.6 million people watching.
It's concurrent. I just checked before. It's got 30 million people.
Yeah, and since then, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
When I took that job, I was a bit apprehensive because I've been in Sidemen videos before, and I've got quite a large audience because of them, and love all the subscribers and fans. But sometimes they can be quite opinionated, or like, they're not trolling, but they kind of take the mick out of you a little bit. So I was like, okay, I'll take it on, but they might not like me. And in my head, I was like, okay, they're just going to be quite negative. I came off air from that, and I've never had such a good response to something that I've done presenting wise. And it was so surprising because there were so many people watching, but I just think all around it was a great event. People loved watching it. The game was crazy. Wasn't there 15 goals or something?
Yeah, I remember watching. I think that was the best Sidemen charity match I've watched.
It was
the
mental,
last one.
wasn't it?
So good. I think what was it? Pie Face, the goal that you conceded. Was it towards the end? I might be wrong. I might be referencing.
I can't remember. I know Toby and Manny scored an insane
Simon
goal.
scored the winner, didn't he?
Yeah,
Simon scored the winner.
so.
Cal the Dragon was playing with no hands.
No, it was a good game.
It was really good. That was an amazing experience. And yeah, with that, I think there was 27,000 people in the stadium.
That's
or
what I was going to ask you.
26,000. That was fine, honestly, because with City, I've done the same thing. And when we won the league just in last May, we had to host the rap show, like the trophy when we won. And that was the whole of the Etihad, just like cheering and stuff. So from those experiences,
Nice.
The more you do it, the more used to it, as we said earlier.
When you look back, I guess, something I always think when I think about my own YouTube journey, thinking back to when I first started, when I was sat in my mum's bedroom with a little headset mic from a PlayStation, being like, hello, welcome to a video. Today we're gonna... And it's like, so when you first started off, were you just on camera straight away? Did you start just talking like I did, and then eventually got confidence enough to put your camera on and, oh my God, I hope people don't take the piss out of me and all stuff like this? Like, how has it gone so quickly from what I'm assuming is the same thing for you as it was for me, to stood in front of 60,000 people at the Etihad? Does it seem weird that it's you that does it? I look back and think, like, if you said to me, could you do that like 10, 12 years ago, it is to me now, I'd have looked at it like I was mental. Like, I don't even quite understand how I've ended up here.
Yeah, I think everyone, if you guys feel the same, imposter syndrome, where you just, I don't know how I'm here. I don't know why either. I think I don't know if you guys can relate, but every time I go into a room, I'm like, why was I picked to be here? Like, what have I done that makes me kind of deserve to be here? But you have to just keep reminding yourselves that if you work hard, there's always a reason you're in a room. But yeah, if you'd have asked me 4 or so years ago when I first started YouTube that I'd be doing the stuff that I do now, I never thought that the YouTube would get me into presenting. So anything outside of that was a bonus. And then a lot of what I achieved on YouTube, I never thought I would do either. And I was a very shy person growing up. So for me to actually be in front of that many people is crazy to me.
My least favorite thing in school was drama and music,
Yeah,
which is like the two performing things. And now if I went back and was like, if I had to act something out, I'd be terrible at it. And I can't play an instrument or sing or anything like that. But I would just do it now and just not care. Yeah. Whereas thinking all the way back to me in school, and I don't know if I assume you have to do drama in school.
Yeah.
In my school, all of the lads they'd give us a prompt and you had to make up something to act out. Yeah. So they might be like, you've just got a new dog or something like that. Or it's Christmas Day and you open your presents. Every single thing in my school turned into, and then they had a fight. And the lads would just have a play, like, pretend to do the UFC or something like that. That was the level of our drama. Whereas actually looking back at me, I was like still stood there like,
oh yeah.
I
If
don't know
any,
what's
I think
going on.
I actively avoided doing anything to do with drama, public speaking. I just didn't like being the center of attention. I preferred just being behind the camera.
What's it like with you, Spencer, with being the FIFA world champion and then you are, without to belittle you, just a guy who plays
I guess
FIFA? Do you know what I
I
mean? It's
just play
weird, isn't it?
FIFA.
Like,
With
whereas-
FIFA and stuff though, you probably still get imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
but at
of
least
course.
you like, I'm here because I'm good at this game and I've won
Well, you
all
were
these
the
matches
best
to
in the
get here.
world
Like,
at FIFA. At least you can say that.
factually,
Yeah.
I won these matches to get here.
I think similar to in school, I was the shy person. I was in the back of the room getting on with my homework, and at lunchtime I'll just play some table tennis, and that was it. Very simple, and I couldn't wait to get back home to play video games. And I'm honest to say that I think in the position I'm in today with my career, with its FIFA or YouTube, obviously there's a lot of hard work that's gone into that, but there is a big element of luck. I've had people along the way help me, especially at the start of YouTube. And I think looking back now, it's just crazy to think that I'm now sitting here on a podcast when back in school, I was just the least popular, quiet person you can imagine. So yeah, I think it just comes with time. And I think everyone needs a bit of luck along the way.
Definitely.
Things change a lot as well.
Yeah.
Just even looking back over since I started, the difference between YouTube and the difference between football, we haven't even reached the point where it's going to start slowing down.
Yeah.
Like everything's going crazy. One of the big ones, I guess, that's quite relevant to this is women's representation in football, in sport. You were saying about Sidemen video trolls.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
wouldn't, well, yeah, you do get trolls, but half
There's
the time
trolls
it's
on
like
the internet.
That's
light-hearted.
just the internet.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's just the internet.
But it's not just. But then that's belittling it, I guess, isn't it? Like it's not just the internet. Like it's quite a serious thing where it's not the Sidemen's fault. It's not like Sidemen trolls, but that's where you get exposed to the largest audience. How has it been for you being, I guess, essentially thrown into that environment and be like,
I think I always say for me, well, I can only speak on my own experience, but because I am a bit older, I think I experienced a lot of just life stuff and confidence building before that. So by the time I went on the Sidemen Tinder, for example, I was 28 at the time. And I feel like by that point, I knew who I was as a person. And for me, the way I look or the way I am isn't determined by someone's opinion online. So personally, I don't really get affected by it that much, but I do worry about if I was 17, 18, 19, I probably would have been really upset by comments that you receive online. But I guess as you get older, you get thicker skin, which I don't think necessarily has to be the case because it shouldn't be that way. Like you shouldn't have to just deal with horrible comments. It shouldn't just have to be like, oh, I don't care
it's the
anymore.
internet, like that shouldn't be the way it is. Yeah.
So there's definitely work to be done. But for me, I dealt with it quite well because I just kind of used it to my advantage, I guess. And I still get comments now or DMs from people saying, oh, you're only relevant because of that video. And yeah, it really helped my platform, of course. Like it gave me such a big platform, but it's what you make of it. So if I'd have been on that video, had a viral moment come off the back of it and not pushed and worked hard, I wouldn't be here 3 years later still doing what I'm doing. But I've not just done sort of YouTube videos off the back of it. I've used it for good and done presenting and worked for loads of amazing companies and stuff.
If you had to go back to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself in the industry to deal with, whether it's comments or obviously breaking through?
I think the main one's to do with imposter syndrome. I know we just covered it, but it's just to know that don't question why you're in a room, because that's definitely something that I've struggled with moving into football as well, because I am more than aware that there are people that know so much about football and have lived and breathed the industry their whole lives. And I've sort of just come in at a later stage and been like, hi, I'm here now and I'm a presenter. But I know the reason why I'm there. It's because I'm good at my job and I will rehearse and look at all the stats and make sure I know what I'm doing before I step foot onto a shoot. And also, when you're presenting, you have an in-ear and there's a large crowd of people. If you're presenting in a stadium, it echoes. So if I'm saying something and interviewing someone, you hear what you're saying repeated about a second afterwards. There's a delay. So you've got that. Then you've got 3 producers in your ear saying, right, you've got 1 minute left. We're going to cut to the next people, whilst you're also trying to listen to what that person's saying and you need to respond to it. So it's, yes, I am really working on my football knowledge and gaming knowledge, and I'm getting there, but I'm good at the other stuff. And I think that's what balances it out. So I just try and tell myself I deserve to be here because I've worked hard.
Nice. I'm then going to pull this back to some football and FIFA, this is the football and FIFA podcast.
It is.
Shall we go FIFA first? Foot, EA Sports FC.
Interesting.
Triangles. What do you think of the name, I guess, first of all?
I feel like it's going to be a situation where when we had legends to then icons, I think icons didn't really roll off the tongue. So I think it's just going to be a situation where you just have to get used to the name, and then maybe this time next year, it's all we know as the main game, if that makes sense.
Be harder for presenters and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit long.
Not to say FIFA.
Don't say FIFA. Yeah.
I think it will be EAFC.
I think FC24, FC25, FC26 is what people are just going to say.
But I think EA want to have EA in there.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
EAFC.
If they're going standalone, I think.
Yeah, or EA24.
When you're doing presenting for EA, it's a item.
Yes, so on the Uncut show on the Premier League, item, inform, legends.
Yeah.
I think those are most of the ones that
they do.
You can't say a card.
It's not a
really
card.
You can't say a card.
Not a card.
The current newest items that have just come out are Trophy Titans.
Yes.
Thought, Spencer, as the expert, I should know what I'm talking about. I don't know, mate.
From a competitive standpoint, like selfishly, they're not cards that would really interest me, bar maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 out of both teams. But I think for casual players, they're very good. You got Del Piero with 5-star, 5-star. So stuff like that would appeal to people. But from a selfish point of view, not really for me.
Interesting.
So maybe a 6 out of 10.
Okay. But then once you've got your team, there's nothing really much.
There's always something.
Really?
A new Neymar, just something. Trust me, there's always one extra player that you can get into your team.
Okay.
It's hard, but possible.
Okay. I was thinking once you've got team of the year.
We have certain restrictions though, pro players, so we can't just go and build a full icon team.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah, so at the moment you'd have a rotation of 4 icon or team of the years. So you go 4 team of the years or 2 of each. So that's one segment you can't go over.
I thought you could have all of them.
And then the rest, you're allowed any 90 rated card in the game. You're allowed unlimited now. Before it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So at the start of the year, to try and stop the pay to win, so people having really good teams, they bring in restrictions. And then throughout the year, when the cards get better, obviously the restrictions get a bit more loose.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you actually have to have a bit of craft and
you have to be smart,
ingenuity with what players you're putting in.
Do you plan your team before the season starts?
Give or take. I feel like a lot of pros just go to Hullet, go to Ronaldo. Very boring. But there's always that 1 or 2 player that's personal preference. For example, some people might use Wout Weghorst, crossing the ball in. But I like Neymar, so I think a lot of pro players would have 6 or 7 of the same players. But then I think you just kind of cater towards a personal preference throughout the year. Depends who gets a special card. For example, Nkunku's got a 92 card, which I wouldn't have expected at the start of the end. He's in my team because he's so good. Who's your favourite player on FIFA, quickly? Just now on the spot. One player.
Team of the year icon, David Beckham.
I shouldn't have asked that question.
What's wrong with that?
Terrible.
Really?
Terrible.
Come on. What's wrong with that?
He's so expensive for what he is.
Well, I bought him for like 1.8 mil and sold him for like 5.5.
Well, that's
so I absolutely love him for that as well. But I don't know. He just seems broken. Like, I'm not very good at FIFA, which that's kind of like me saying I'm lazy. Compared to the general population, yes, I'm very good at FIFA. Most people can't even qualify for foot champs. But in the space that I'm in, I'm not really, really good. Like, I'm not like elite tier from old foot champs level. So then when I got this David Beckham, I don't even know why I bought him. I think it was just because he was David Beckham. And I thought, he might actually be good for once. And I've been watching that documentary where he took the kids through.
That. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, he goes and rescues the team that he used to play for, I think, when he was a kid in London.
Yeah.
Struggling in their Sunday league. So David Beckham becomes their manager. It's a bit of a cliche kind of terrible TV documentary, but it's pretty fun to watch. But anyway, I watched that. And then bought Beckham. And he did a Trivella of him and it just goes in. And I was like, oh my God, this is so broken. But Play the month Mbappe is pretty good. Did him because of all the fodder.
Bit expensive.
Yeah. Ramos's flashback's quite good.
Do you have enough fodder for the upcoming promo team of the season? Because there's going to be a lot of special cards for that.
No.
That's the answer.
You're the one who knows all the...
He's used
The
them all.
pause was like,
Yeah.
I don't think so. You're the one who knows all the spoilers that you're not allowed to tell us for this, Els.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say, when
sorry.
is team of the season supposed to actually come out? Is it 2 weeks or something like as we're
things
recording now?
coming soon.
Yeah, it's very soon. I
TBD.
think the
TBD.
voting
Yeah,
started.
I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
But trophy. What are we? Yeah, so we got Trophy Titans.
Yep.
We started voting for team of the season for the community one.
Yes.
Have you voted for your team? Have you voted for your team of the season, Els?
I haven't voted for my team of the season.
Are you going to vote for your team of the season? I literally have no idea who to vote for. I just click through them. And go,
I
he
don't
looks,
know
he
who
looks
I-
like he'd be cool on FIFA. He looks like he'd be cool
Because
on
I
FIFA.
look at it from a football lens, not a FIFA lens.
Yeah.
And I know, like, for example, Haaland apparently isn't that good to play with in FIFA.
Some people would argue that he is, but I think from a competitive standpoint, he's not really the go-to.
Yeah. So I would be like, oh, Haaland's got to go in.
Yeah.
But then if you ask an actual professional player, they'd probably be like, no.
I remember when I vote for my team of seasons, as you said, I vote them on FIFA. I tweet them out, and people are like, oh, you don't know football, you don't know football. It's like, the special card is going to be for the player in-game, but, you know, each to their own. And I think team of season for me is probably the most fun promo because you get so many cards, and you get cards that aren't good now, but they just get massive upgrades, and now they become usable.
Yeah.
Do you find team of the season easier to vote for than team of the year? Because with team of the year, I find it confusing because you're like, oh, that person's playing really well, but end of last season, they didn't necessarily play that well. So you have to factor in the whole year as opposed to like an entire season.
I just pick the best FIFA players. Literally, the player that I vote for could not even, he could be on the bench the whole season and I'll still vote for him.
He's
As
good in
long
the
as he's
game.
going to be good in the
Yeah.
game. That's what I'm voting for.
I voted Van Dijk in my team of the year, sorry. Got so much abuse from it. And then I was right.
He got in. Yeah.
But everyone still told me that I was. I guess you can you have a bad prediction if the prediction ends up being correct?
I suppose it's just people's, and that's just social media, isn't it? People's opinions. You literally could vote for the 11 that's going to get it, and people would still tell you that you're wrong, even though you're right.
That is true.
So,
Who is? I guess this is a question for both of you guys. When you're interviewing pro players, Els, have you ever seen somebody's team and thought, what are you doing?
Not really, because again, like my FIFA ability and knowledge isn't amazing. I'm more just better at meeting the players and,
Sure.
and speaking to them and getting their experiences. But I'm not sure.
Is there anyone? Do you all just build the same stuff then?
Yeah, because
Spencer, or is there-
I thought it was mainly the same players, right?
I think it depends. Like different tournaments, for example, the recent E-Prem tournament, we could only use Premier League past and present players. So, for example, you could use Ginola, Huddit, or obviously current Premier League players. That's different. And when it comes to like a big tournament that's not just Premier League and you can use any cards, then that's when like a viewer would see a team like, oh, he's got 9 out of the 11 the same players. And it just comes down to that one different player in the attack. Everyone kind of goes through the same defense and midfield, like team of the year Huddit, team of the year Icon Huddit, team of the year Bellingham. So I would love like some draft system, you know, like an online, LAN event. You know, 2 pros coming up. You could ban a player, protect the player, just to make it a bit more interesting. Because as I said, everyone kind of has the same boring team.
I think that would be a good idea as well. Or like, for example, if you've done really well in qualifier, then you have more of an option of who you can pick.
Or
as to
you
someone
get to
that
protect
didn't.
more players. Like, I think something like that would be really good, I think, for the viewers, because rather than just loading in 2 players on a field, we're playing FIFA now. I think like the story of, oh, he's banned my favorite formation. I've got to adapt. As a player, I've got to then practice with different formations, because if my main formation gets banned or my Ronaldo gets banned and I can't use him, it's like, who's my plan B? So I think something like that would be fascinating.
True. But I do love an underdog though. So I don't know if that would take away the story of an underdog, because
If they're a one trick
One trick
and then
pony.
their formation's gone, they'd be
What is
screwed.
your opinion on that? So if someone comes into a tournament, for example, that's not expected to win at all, and then they're just like, I'll take the title. How do you feel as a FIFA player?
It happens quite a lot, to be fair. Not necessarily winning. I mean, that has happened, but you'll get people coming into an event and they don't necessarily have the big online presence as a name, and then they come into it. But if you're good at FIFA, you're good at FIFA. You don't have to have 100,000 followers. They'll come in, and because, as I said, they're not a big name, people don't really give them probably the respect in game. And the next thing you know, they've either gone to win the tournament or done really well. So I think for me, I don't mind it. I think it's just something that I'm like, maybe I just need to step up my game a little bit. and because I try my best to learn from different people. I'm not unrealistic to the point where I try to win every event, but I'm not delusional to think I'm going to win every event. So I try and learn things from different players, and if a new person comes in, they're doing something I'm not, so let's try and take something from their game and put it into my own.
When you're talking about draft mode and stuff like that, that's something I think would make competitive FIFA really. Yeah. I'd like to see one pool of players, and you have to pick one each, so you both can't have Team of the Year Hullet.
Yeah.
EAFC's coming out. Is that from, I guess, a selfish point of view, or like looking at it through a pro player's lens? Is that the thing that you would pick if you could put one thing into EAFC?
Something like that, yeah, definitely. I think from a competitive standpoint, I'm really fascinated to see what happens now because, as we all know, FIFA is FIFA, right? So when they split ways and it's going to be EA Sports FC 24, I'm interested to see what happens. So if an idea like you just said comes into the competitive scene, I think it's a win-win for everyone. EA, pro players, and also obviously the viewers. Yeah,
I feel like we should clarify for people listening as well and people
watching.
They
might be a bit confused.
People are very, very, very confused about the FIFA and FIFA thing. Yeah. Where one is FIFA, the organization who controls football, and one is FIFA, the game, which is made by EA and pay money to FIFA, the organization, just to use their name. Doesn't do anything. It's not part of the license and everything like that. They just pay them to call the game that. So people are getting very confused about the fact that once that name goes, it's going to be like PES, where you play as Manchester Red and Merseyside Blue.
Same technology.
Yeah, it's exactly the same game. It's exactly the same licenses because that's all done with FIFA Pro, which confusingly is the same three letters and then Pro instead of an A. So it does get worse. But FIFA Pro is what they get the licenses for the clubs and the players off, which they're still going to have. So it is still going to be the same thing. It's just not called FIFA anymore.
So the game that you actually play, like the 11v11, is EA. EA make the game. And even like, I think EA own FIFA Ultimate Team? I don't know.
I was going to say, what is FUT going to be called? I don't know
Football
yet.
Ultimate Team?
Or could it just be Ultimate Team?
It'll be something.
Yeah.
What's up, dog?
But yeah, I think some little things will change like that. Obviously, Ultimate Team, as we know, will stay. But obviously, maybe the wording will be a bit different. But I think it's a win-win for us consumers because competition. I think everyone needs competition, so I'm interested.
If you could change one thing other than obviously like the draft system and picking teams in the game, what would you change?
In game? I'll say something that's realistic, more customization. I'm known in the FIFA scene for my colourful kits. Like I just like to be out there. You can customize your stadium, you can get these new kits, special kits, but I just want to go all out. Like, give me some more. Let me change the colour of my players' boots. I'll put pink on everyone. So I think for me, something that's realistic is just more customization. Similar to maybe like Fortnite, for example. I think that something.
Don't get me started.
Something like that. Something like that would be nice for me.
Do you know what I've always thought? And this is an unrealistic, I think, dream. So career mode in FIFA. So I play NBA 2K quite a lot, and they have like the neighborhood. So basically, you have your character. You can completely customize them. Then you can run around and like play
the
people.
Sims. Yeah, live as a footballer.
It's basically like the Sims.
You can go into shops, can't you, as well?
Yeah, it's like the Sims in football, and then obviously you carry on your career, but outside of that, you can go and pick your clothes and you earn points, and then you can go and like get different clothes, and you can play on the court, which is probably more like Volta, I guess. So that could be quite cool.
That would be cool. That's what you started a YouTube channel, wasn't it? Doing the Sims.
Sims, yeah. I actually made Wembley Stadium in the Sims, and because I learned how to do like custom content, so I could put my own stuff in the Sims. So I put the England logo and things like that, and put my own football pitch, and it took me quite a while, to be fair, like 3 days to make that. But
nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I would go for if I could add anything into.
There's a lot, isn't there?
There's so many different things.
Maybe Everton win.
Make us actually good. Online career mode. I've started making career mode YouTube videos and love it. I think it's just because it's new and fresh, and like I still enjoy doing Squad of the Showdown and other videos with my mates and messing about and stuff like that. But I've done it for like 12 years. So then I've never really done a career mode, and I've got so heavily invested for it, and I've like signed youth players and made songs for them and stuff like that. And like they're scoring in Wembley, and I'm singing Michael Whitehead's song running around my spare bedroom like a lunatic. But if you could apply that to online career mode, so then you were doing it with your mates, I feel like that's such a big part of gaming is the social aspect of it.
Yeah, I think I would definitely add a new element to the game, because I think when I play Football Manager, I can't play on my own. I just find it so tedious. But when you're competing against two or three other friends for like signings and stuff, I think, online career mode, good suggestion.
And that can take Everton all the way to the top of the Premier League.
Yeah, because that would never happen in real life.
Who do you think's going to win the Premier in real life then?
Man City.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
Especially after the recent draw to Liverpool, I do think I think Man City beat Arsenal at the Etihad.
Yes, I'll be there cheering them on. Do you know what? It's hard to tell. I think at this point where we're at, it could go either way. I think Man City could win it on goal difference. It might even come down to that, to be honest.
City just beat Bayern 3-0 last night when we were filming this, which I think is a statement if you're an Arsenal player watching that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the media and the commentators and stuff like that have been a little bit harsh to Arsenal when they dropped points against Liverpool, because the way it was portrayed was it's now in City's hands, which it is, but it's also still in Arsenal's hands. Like, it's both of their hands because they're going to play each other, whereas it's being portrayed as if, well, that's it, Arsenal have lost. It's in City's hands now. It's theirs to win, which it is in City's hands, but it's who's going to win the game between the two of them is essentially what's going to happen, isn't it? I think City are 3 points behind if they win their game in hand.
Yeah.
But if they beat Arsenal, they have then now played the same amount of games, got the same amount of points, but City have got a better goal difference.
Yeah.
Am I remembering that correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Which is,
I think so. I might be wrong, but I'm sure.
Yeah, if
Wild.
City play their game in hand and win it, they'll be on the same amount.
That's against Leicester, right? Is it Leicester?
So then if they beat Arsenal, they'll be 3
they'll
points
be 3
ahead.
points ahead.
Oh, yeah.
That's why that game, depending on, we don't know what will happen in the games between now and the one on the 26th of April, but that's an important game. And if it is the case that they both continue to win all their games up until that point, then it's going to be the game of the season, to be honest.
I seen the stats. City have got the best form in the last section of the season since Pep joined. I think something ridiculous like that. Was it 2018-19 where they won every single game? That was stupid.
And then even last year when it was between Liverpool and City, and we were 2-0 down to Villa. So at that point, Liverpool
I remember
winning.
that game.
That's my best footballing memory, I think. And I know people always want to say pick something nostalgic, but we were 2-0 down, and I was being briefed in the green room about, okay, well, when we win, and I'm like, we are 2-0 down. I want to go home. Like, I feel sick. And then we just scored those 3 goals in the second half. Genuinely the best moment ever. The stadium was crazy. But that's what I'm saying. We have the experience in those high pressure situations. But I do think the media is quite, will jump to either side of it, because then if City go and lose a game or draw a game, they're like, oh, Arsenal have won the league. So
I think Man City have just turned it on. I think since the Leipzig game. I think since then I feel like in the season there was games, I think against Forest they drew Man City.
Yes.
I think there's a few points
that
they've
game
dropped.
Was so frustrating because we'd scored quite early on, had so many other opportunities to score, didn't do it, and you just know in the last 10 minutes you're like, oh, they're going to score now, it'll be a draw. Yeah, I remember that game.
But I think for me, Man City, are you City or Arsenal? I don't know if you said. He's going to say Arsenal just to
So
be
I
different.
want Arsenal to win just for it to be different, just for, as a neutral, just watching it, just a little bit of extra spice, like somebody else has won the title. I hope it's as close as City Liverpool. When did they both get 100 points since Liverpool didn't win the league? It was something ridiculous like that, wasn't it? Liverpool got 99 and City got 102.
Yeah, the whole time.
If it's like that again, that close, that'll be so good for me to watch whilst ignoring the fact that Everton are probably going to get relegated. So I can just pretend that doesn't happen, watch other football and stuff. But my best football memory, to take it back to a happier time, is back when I used to go to all of the games. Everton went to Wembley and knocked United out of the semi-final of the FA Cup on pens. And I was at that game. And then I guess as a continuation of it, from the penalty shootout where we won and dancing on the chairs and these play hi-ho silver linens at the FA Cup and at Wembley for some reason. All the Everton fans going wild and jumping on the seats and singing that, to 30 seconds into the final against Chelsea, Louis Saha scored. And everyone was like, oh my God, we're going to... And it was actually probably the worst thing that could have happened to Everton, because we then played 90 minutes of a game trying not to concede the goal, as opposed to we probably could have went out and at least tried to play against Chelsea. And we did. Like, we scored in the first 30 seconds and did quite well. Whereas we then parked on it and eventually conceded the goal. Oh, crap, it's 1-1. We best try and score now. Conceded another one, lost 2-1. But that penalty shootout to, oh my God, Louis Saha scored, them 2 trips to Wembley were very cool. Whereas now I'm a sports fan, not a football fan. I think actually throwing it back very quickly to EAFC. Did you watch Wrexham versus Notts County?
Yeah.
Put the National League in EA Sports FC. That would be so cool because they're the same thing, aren't they? Wrexham have got 103 points and Notts County got 100, and only one of them gets automatic promotion in the same way as City and Arsenal are both miles ahead of everyone. Liverpool and City were miles ahead of everyone, and only one of them gets to win the title.
Love that.
Kind of crazy. I don't know. I just, as a neutral, just want to...
Well, you've just mentioned Everton going down.
Yeah.
Do you actually think it's going to happen?
No.
So who, if you had to pick 3, and I'll throw this to you as well, Alz, 3 teams to go down. Because it's really tight. You know, I think it's...
Well, I was going to say I'm going to avoid the question because I don't know. Anyone up to 12th, I think, can get relegated.
There's quite a few.
Which is kind of wild.
It's looking like Southampton.
I think Southampton will go.
Who else is in the conversation? Forest, Leeds,
Wolves. I think Wolves are
Leicester
down
literally can't sign a manager at this point. Jesse Marsh has just turned them down, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Graham Potter's turned them down.
And they've got Man City next. That's another loss.
So, yeah. But Everton can't score a goal. So it could be, I think, did Palace just win at the weekend and have actually gone a little bit clear?
Yeah, Roy Hodgson. Yeah, I watched that game.
Yeah, Hodgson's coming. But picking 3 teams to go down, I think is actually...
It's a lottery, I think.
I'm just saying Everton aren't going to.
So Andy, I think, avoided the question of giving us 3 teams for the relegation. Do you have 3 quickly to get relegated?
I'll go with Southampton.
Yep.
Forest.
Okay.
I don't actually know the current state of the bottom.
Do you want to see?
Yeah, let's get it up.
Current bottom 3 is Southampton, Leicester, Forest. Everton are not in the bottom 3 on goal difference. Then you've got Leeds, Bournemouth, West Ham, who Moyes is teetering on the edge of a job, isn't he? Wolves, all the way up to Palace. And then it's a jump to Chelsea.
I think it would be... I don't think Leicester will go down.
Okay.
I think it will be Bournemouth, Forest, and Southampton then.
Yes. I'll take that.
What about you?
I think West Ham will go down.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Really?
I think
Imagine playing in the Olympic Stadium.
in the Championship.
Got relegated to the Championship.
I just think people are not probably mentioning them in the bottom 3 because it's West Ham and they have that stadium and they have Declan Rice and all these top players, but they're not playing well. So I think it's possible. Maybe they won't, but I'll probably go Southampton, Forest, and West Ham.
Have you done any presenting work at the Olympic Stadium?
Yeah, well, City's first game this season was away against West Ham, so I was there doing some presenting.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's really, like, you as a spectator, because
away.
I'm meant to wear glasses the whole time, and I always forget them when I go to games. I sat down, and because it's so wide, because obviously they designed it so they could have like the athletics in the middle. When you're actually a spectator, you're so far like away from the actual pitch. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is bizarre. Have you ever been, Spencer?
No, I've walked past it a few times. So when we have tournaments, it's in Stratford, so I always see it from afar, but never actually been.
As a place, it's like really cool, and like the facilities there are really nice. And I don't know, it's just strange. Like, been to a few stadiums where they're always super, super picky about you going on the pitch, but there's always a little curtain rail thing, like a little barrier, and you can like walk up to it in the dugout and like take a selfie at the stadium and stuff like that. At the Olympic Stadium, you're so far. Like, there's a barrier, and like, don't go on the pitch. And they can make the pitch as a 5-minute walk away.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't go on the pitch if I wanted to. It's proper weird.
To get there. Like, in terms of stadiums, though,
Everton's new stadium's going to be so good.
Wait, so I was going to mention this
In the
because
Championship.
your current stadium is. It's been around. How long's that stadium been there?
Goodison.
Yeah.
Goodison is the oldest purpose-built football stadium in the whole world.
I quite like that character to it.
Oh,
though.
it's so bad. My season ticket used to be. We moved eventually, but I sat for like 2 years before I could move seat behind a post. So I like
Love
literally.
that.
I imagine your chair just extends upwards to
Well, so
infinity.
it's directly in front of you.
Literally in front
Oh,
of
I thought
me.
you meant like one side. So at
Nope,
least you're getting half
I
the
was
game.
in the second row behind a post. So I could see all of that half of the pitch because it was to the left of the post.
Yeah.
And I could see the corner flag and the edge of the goal of this bit. And then the post was just in the way.
So you had to tilt your head.
Yeah. And sometimes you just couldn't see what was going on. Like if the ball got stuck over at the other side of the pitch by the corner flag, don't know what's going on. So Goodison is lovely, and it's very historic. And I would love to be able to buy my seat that I used to sit in or something like that and put it in my background. But I think it's getting kept as a community center and stuff like that. So I'm not sure they're going to knock it down. You can like buy bricks and stuff.
So where's the new one? Is it in the city center or is it
Yeah,
out?
yeah. It's on the docks in the city center. So like, as you get the train into town, you can like see it being
It's crazy
built
that they can just build an entire stadium just in so close into the center.
It's huge as well. So I've seen they're doing the Euros bid for 2028, and it's going to be like the Etihad is going to be one, and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and Everton Stadium is one of the stadiums that is potentially going to host the Euros, which would be so cool in the Championship. Anyway, let's have some fun. It is time for Drip or Drown. Take a look at the beautiful wall of JD shoes. Els, first of all, we're going to send you over to pick your favorite one. Tell us all about why it's your favorite. And then me and Spencer are going to have a bit of a competition and see who's got the best fashion sense. I have gone very jazzy already today, by the way.
I've seen.
Look at them.
Red.
Very red.
Very red.
Very red.
Yeah. Can I give a disclaimer? I'm an Adidas girl.
Okay.
And I don't even own a pair of this brand. But
Don't own a pair of Nike
so I'm
trainers
just going to
at
go
all.
for the ones that look the most comfortable. So I'm going to go now.
Okay.
I hope she doesn't pick my... Okay, that's fine.
Has she not picked your favorite
No,
ones?
she hasn't picked my favorite.
Should we do rock, paper, scissors? Well, Els can tell us about why these are. They're literally just because they're the most comfortable looking ones.
Do you know, they look, I think in terms of the amount I would wear these, they look like the ones I'd wear the most. And they also look quite comfy. You know, the back.
I like the colour, to be fair.
Widget.
Neutral.
Yeah, I like a beige shoe. So this is why I've gone for this pair.
Do you want to go first or me?
Okay, you can have first pick.
I've already...
I've got a couple of options anyway.
I'm eyeing mine up already.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
that was my runner-up.
I was literally going to wear basically them trainers today.
Oh, really? You actually have these?
Almost. They've got a little bit more pink on them.
I love these. I actually own a pair, but not this colourway.
So they are white dunks
white dunks with what colour?
Maroon, burgundy,
maroon.
tick and sole.
Very nice.
So I was going to pick something a little bit jazzy. I feel somewhat obligated to pick the 110s, which they're definitely... Do you know the story about 110s?
No.
They're like the most scout shoes in the world. And so that's these.
Yeah.
That's Air Max 90s.
You got a few options. You got red at the top.
It's a pair of Jordans or two pairs of Air Force Ones in it. I am going to go...
That's a
Air
good
Force
choice.
Ones with a hint of baby blue.
And the bottom is full blue.
And the bottom is full blue. I don't know. I feel like it's
like
coming up
them.
to summer. I feel like I could pair these with a little pair of
blue shorts.
blue shorts, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Everton colours. That's why you're going for them.
No, it's not quite. It's baby, it's city colours, Els. There we go. Yeah,
City.
now
There
we're
you
pitching
go.
for a point. We've got city shoes. No, I don't know. I feel like summer, jeans and a t-shirt, whatever.
That was my second choice.
I've become a bit addicted to just the buying trainers, to be
Yeah.
honest with you recently.
How many pairs do you have? Top of your head.
So I've always just had like one or two pairs of trainers that I just wore all of the time. And then more recently, I've been like, oh, them ones look good. Oh, I'll get them ones, I'll get them. I've probably gone up to about 7 or 8 in like the past year that I'll just
I thought you were
rotate
saying like
through.
30 or 40.
Oh, no, I'm not like, not mental, like
Yeah.
proper sneakerheads where they have a whole wall and they never ever wear them.
Do
Like-
like a sneaker wall though.
It's cool, but I like to actually wear them. Like the ones with, is it Travis Scott?
The Travis Scott one.
They
Yeah.
come out. I tried to buy them, not because you could then sell them for $1,000, because I just would have wore them because I thought they were nice. Whereas some people buy them and like stick them on eBay
Was there
and
Ben
stuff.
and Jerry's ones as well? Or did
I
I
don't
just
know, was
make
there?
that up completely?
I've not seen them. There might be.
There was a pair
I
of
would
Billie
not be
Eilish
surprised.
Air Force Ones that I really liked, but I didn't like the fact that they had Billie Eilish written on the back, so I didn't buy them.
Els, you have 2 trainers here, mine and Andy's. Which
Okay.
is your favourite? Mind
Do
you,
you
I
like
have
them
lost
both?
twice in a row, so
Okay.
it could be my third.
I like the city colours on this one. But Gorilla, I'm gonna go with you. Because they were my
Results.
runners up.
I feel like I've won anyway because I basically own them trainers, so that's fine.
I do
know
know
what
what
size is.
I like about it. I love all the different colourways that you can get.
Right, that's done. Let's get some community questions. Nice and quick, nice and snappy.
Let's go.
We've discussed, I think it's very briefly, but Andy first, best FIFA card ever. So
Ever?
not just his
I
FIFA.
definitely won't be able to answer this.
Okay, FIFA 12. Non-gold cards were broken, and I
Yes.
still don't know why to this day. but
Even
they were.
silvers.
So, Silver El Shaarawy. But as much as everyone loves El Shaarawy, I think I'm going to have to go to, there was an accidental version of Paul Pogba at Man United that was 55 rated bronze, but had the stats of a gold card, but then simultaneously had that boost thing where they made bronze cards better. So instead of being like a 55 rated card with 55 stats and everything, and then EA was like, well, this is bronze, let's make it fun and play better. It was 55 rated, had gold stats. It was like 75 and everything. But then he was like, well, this is bronze. Let's make it play better. So you had like a 99 rated Paul Pogba. And I used to kick off and do a finesse shot from the halfway line and just go in.
I thought you were going to say your favourite player of all time was going to be a bronze card. And I was like,
yeah, it
sure?
is. Yeah, bronze Paul Pogba.
But it had gold stats. So it's not a bronze.
Well, if he didn't exist, it'd be probably bronze Nick Powell or silver El Shaarawy. Or remember Mike Onliete?
I do. There were some really good players back in the day.
Crazy.
Mine would be FIFA 16 or 15 Griezmann. Specifically the gold red version. That's always my go-to answer. Do you have one that comes to mind?
Do you know what? I'm not even going to try and back. Like, do you know what is... I haven't played FIFA long enough, firstly. But secondly, I've never got that far in Ultimate Team. I tried once to do Ultimate Team without spending any money, which I made it to one weekend friendly and lost 10-0. And then I think I rage quit. I was like, this is so embarrassing because the person I was playing had all gold items. So I was just like, do you know what? No. So I don't even know who would be the best one.
Instead of FIFA, then let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Favorite footballer ever?
Ever. Is this one so hard? Because at City, it will be a City player, obviously. There's two legends. Obviously, Haaland's amazing now, and we've got Kevin De Bruyne, but you have Aguero, who
of course
arguably has created one of the best moments in Premier League football.
Does he have a statue?
He's got a statue now, the Aguero statue.
Who doesn't have a statue?
So we've got Aguero, and I feel inclined to say him, but also Vincent Kompany, right? He was incredible at City. Not only that, though, I saw he's only just turned 37 the other day, and he's just got Burnley a promotion.
Now he's insane at managing as well, and he scored a goal like Michael Keane.
And apparently he might go and manage Tottenham or something. Do you know what?
Really?
That's the rumours. There'll be rumours. I think one day he would manage City, though, if he carries on doing as well as he has.
There's a random, can I be a community question?
Go on.
When Pep goes, Arteta or Kompany?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question.
It depends how Kompany does, I think, in the Premier League. But just wherever he goes, I'm sure someone's going to try and take him from Burnley. But would Arteta leave Arsenal to go to City? Obviously, if the money is right. But like, do you think that he would actually move, or do you think he'd stay at Arsenal and keep building that young team?
I think he would go to City. If it depends if Arsenal give him the backing in the transfer window, but it depends. I think if he wins the league with Arsenal, maybe he carries on.
Yeah.
But so, who's your favourite player? You have to pick one.
Yeah.
Kompany or Aguero?
She started like my relegation question.
Say, dodging questions today.
I'll go with Aguero.
Aguero,
nice.
Yeah. Good little striker.
Can I give a shout out to Leighton Baines? What a man.
Yeah, he was good. Do you have a favourite footballer?
Leighton Baines.
Leighton Baines. Yeah.
What about you?
I'm just gonna a left field one. Maybe you don't know who he is. Ishmael Miller, back in the day for West Brom. You probably don't know who he is. No. Moving on. Andy, quick question for you.
Go on.
Favorite FIFA card? We got the answer. You chose a bronze player, but a favorite FIFA card ever that not anyone really used, but for you, it was like your player. So for me, it would be Griezmann. Like maybe when channel favourite.
Okay, when I did a Road to Glory, the first year I did my Road to Glory, Anderson Talisca.
Oh, okay.
In the Chinese league, and he got a perfect link back when chemistry was good.
Yeah.
To Paulinho, who then got a Footmas, I think it was called back then. Like he actually did Footmas instead of Foot Freeze or whatever it is these days. That Talisca, and then I think he got another inform, and I just kept upgrading Talisca, and I built my entire team around the factor. So I'd get Neymar in because Brazilian, and I'd get crazy other players, and I was like, nah, Talisca's my boy.
I do miss the old chemistry system.
Yeah.
We do have a comment from Fate Lee 46 to both of you two. Favorite football memory from the past? I feel like
I think I covered that.
I think you've already covered it.
Haven't we? Yeah. Mine was the Wembley. Everton actually won a game at Wembley semi-final.
Oh,
dancing on the seats.
And then you lost in the final.
Yeah, but we don't. When Luis Saha scored, that was good.
And you said the Villa game? Was it the Villa game?
City last year, coming back from 2-0.
I remember watching that.
But other than that, I remember my first ever Premier League football game that I went to, Norwich, because I'm from near Norwich.
Yeah.
Season ticket holder, my dad was like, come along, it was probably one of their first times in that time period anyway, because, ever since they've just been going up and down. going to a Premier League game at Norwich was Crystal Palace. My first ever game was probably at 13, 14. Palace scored and I stood up and started cheering because I just wanted to annoy my dad. For some reason, he was like, come to the game. I was like, I don't want to come. So I stood up and started clapping. That was quite a distinct footballing memory for me. My dad was so angry and he literally pulled me down and said, you can't do that. Because obviously the Norwich fans are quite they're very supportive of the team. Like it's a big community. So yeah, he was embarrassed.
That's funny. I once sat in the cop for the derby because half my family supports Everton, half my family supports Liverpool. So I went with one of my uncles who had a spare ticket. And it was the Jagielka goal derby where he scored that absolute screamer in the last minute. And I was sat behind the goal to the point where the ball was coming towards my face. And your first instinct was to duck because you thought the ball was going to hit you, but then it got stopped by the net. And the second instinct was to go, yeah. And I was like, oh, I am sat in the cop. Maybe I won't do that.
We have one more question. It is from Tom the Man. Where do you think FIFA or EA Sports, obviously that we both know it's going to be moving to, but FIFA or gaming in general is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? I'll come to you first, Andy. It's a bit of a tough question.
That is a very tough question. I feel like I should be paid millions of pounds by EA to answer that one. That is I
suppose it's two different answers, isn't it? If we're talking about FIFA specifically to gaming, because obviously, gaming, other games are very different to FIFA.
I hope that the dropping of the FIFA brand gives EA more freedom to do things that they perhaps have been restricted in doing previously. And I know it's a bit of a meme in the FIFA community of 1,000 eyes and stuff like that being on the game. But there is obviously from a bureaucratic process or from a how companies work sort of process, there is levels that stuff has to go through to get approved. So hopefully less restrictions just to do some more fun stuff, to be honest with you. Like, even if it's like Bateson being in the game. Yeah, that was so cool. I'd love to see loads more stuff like that. Even if it's putting people in as managers, letting you create your own pro and putting that into Ultimate Team. And FIFA might be like, oh, this isn't realistic. Well, it's not called FIFA anymore. Do what you want. That's the.
I think the possibilities are endless. I think in gaming in general, but FIFA specifically. What about you, Els? What would you see in the next 5-10 years? How gaming or
obviously
FIFA?
My VR idea with the glasses. I think women being aren't they going to be putting women in Ultimate Team?
I'm sure I saw that on the trailer.
There's rumored that they're going to start putting the women players into Ultimate Team. I feel like it should just be that in 5 years' time, I'd like to see it so that you can basically do everything. Like there should just be the same capabilities either way. I also think esports in 5 years' time, I'd love to just see it everywhere. I think we're on the way to sort of taking over. I think the West is slower. We're getting there, obviously, with the Premier League being on Sky Sports and things like that. We're getting there, but I think in 5 years' time, it's going to be incredible how much and how many esports organizations there are, and how many people just from the wider audience outside of gaming are going to support it. Because I think it's the future, so I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I think with FIFA specifically, quickly, I just think the possibilities are endless.
Pro clubs.
Bar pro clubs.
Pro clubs, Spencer. Stop.
No, I don't like pro clubs.
No,
I used to play it, but Ultimate Team.
You are a professional FIFA player, so you definitely know more than me. But you control one player at a time, and EA controls the other 10. Imagine if it was you and Tom, and then XL hired 9 other, or maybe even just 4 other pros.
I think 11v11 is too far a stretch. I would be a
5v5?
fan of... No, a 3 versus 3 Ultimate Team on a competitive scene. I think that would be cool. Because we see it now with 2v2. Obviously, me and Tom competing at events 2v2 on the same team, but maybe an extra player 3 versus 3. I think that's like a happy medium. I think 11v11, just not going to be feasible.
Too much chaos.
Yeah. That would be... I mean, it'd be great for the viewer, but...
What if it was like when you play pro clubs, people are very... We are going off on one now, but people are very in one camp or the other with should you play with any, should you not play with any?
Yeah.
What if you had to play with any and you had somebody was the striker? Maybe you could have 3 players that could pick a position and then maybe excluding goalkeeper. And then you had an any that controlled the rest, or maybe you had an any that controlled the defense and any that controlled the midfield and 2 people to go up front or something like that. I think that could be an interesting balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Not really a big fan of clubs.
Well, you won the World Cup playing as one person, so you're always going to say no.
That is true.
Some very good questions, Spencer.
Thank you.
If you guys would like to pop some questions down in the comments for the upcoming episodes, please feel free, fire away, put as many down there as you possibly can. We will ask the best ones in the upcoming shows. I guess one last question. As you are a City fan, Els, who's winning the Champions League?
Honestly, as a City fan, it's all City fans want is to win the Champions League. So, yeah.
Yeah. City just looks so good. But they looked good last year, though.
Yeah, and the Real Madrid came
Real
back.
Madrid.
That was,
But
it was an awful time.
if Man City win, they'll play Chelsea or Real Madrid. So I think that'll be a very interesting game. But yeah, I think Man City win it.
Nice.
Yeah. That is it. Thank you, Els, for coming on as a guest, and my new Tom Lees, Andy, for being my co-host. But yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.